is Patricia and I represent my team of highly motivated students from Top Young 100 program. Current project is in the form of Carpool interview and the main goal is to ask global business leaders about the future challenges of climate change and increasing environmental awareness. Our first guest will be Stanislas de Gramont, the Chief Operating Officer of Groupe Seb. You probably are familiar of some of their companies like Tefal or Moulinex. They are market leaders in the small domestic equipments industry. Are you ready for a ride? Hello Stan, nice
Morning,
to meet
Patricia. Nice to meet you.
you. Are you ready?
I'm all set. Let's
go! So Stan, please tell me something about you.
I'm Stanislas de Gramont. I'm 55-year-old, married, 4 children. I work
Wow.
in a company called Groupe Seb, which is known in the world for brands like Tefal, Krups, Roventa, that sells anything from pots and pans to vacuum cleaners to hand mixers to coffee machines.
Amazing, amazing. And tell me maybe how you started with your career.
Oh my God. I started back in 1987. I've been doing mainly marketing and sales. I've been working in 2 continents, America and Canada and Europe.
Okay.
I've been living in France, in Italy, in the UK, in London 10 years in particular. And my career was in 3 companies, Danone Group for 20 odd years, then Suntory Beverage and Foods, which is the Orangina, Schweppes, Oasis brands, and then lately Groupe Seb.
Okay, so now you are in the Groupe Seb.
Yes.
So maybe I will ask you now, what is your environmental strategy for the coming years? Like, what are the most important things that your company will do for our planet?
Right, that's a vast subject. We are in a company that is consuming raw material and resources.
Yeah.
So we have, like many companies, we have strong plans to reduce our emissions through better energy consumption, better control of energy consumptions.
Yes.
We are reducing also the use of raw materials, making lighter products, using new components that are less energy consuming. But maybe the most important thing we do is around recycling and reusability. When it comes,
Yes, actually I heard about it. You are the one of the hugest brand that do it, and I want to ask you about the rentability of this.
right. So when it comes to pots and pans, we use recycled aluminium more and more. And here, recycled aluminium is actually comparable to virgin aluminium in terms of cost to use. You may have a different value chain because it takes a bit more money to collect and remelt the aluminium, but eventually the cost of aluminium is pretty expensive, so it's profitable. Then when it comes to small electric appliances, we do more and more repairability guarantees. That means every one of our 93% of our products worldwide can be repaired, and we guarantee we will have the spare parts for 10 years.
Wow, amazing.
And repairability, that's one of the originality of our industry. Repairability is around making sure that each of your apparel can be dismantled in many different pieces.
Okay.
20 years ago, a mixer was 3 blocks.
Yeah.
Nowadays, a mixer is 40 or 50 spare parts, which means it's easier to dismantle and it's easier to change the parts that are broken.
Okay. All right. So now I would like to ask you about the current situation with coronavirus in the pandemic. Were profits or employees the most important?
That's a nice one. Thank you for that great question.
You're welcome.
In a way, well, the first priority is always to protect your employees' health for a very simple reason. You need your employees to produce, sell, distribute.
Yeah.
And if the employees consider that the company doesn't take care of them, they can go on strike, they will be anyway demotivated. So you have to put as a first priority your employees' health. The second thing we did was not to protect our profits, but to protect our suppliers network. We have many thousands of small suppliers, and we made sure that they got paid on time or even earlier than usual, so that the whole network of suppliers and customers actually got maintained and stabilized through our actions during the crisis. And eventually we come out of the crisis. It's very early to say, we're in July,
Yes.
that we are out of the crisis yet. We are stronger than ever with our customers and with our suppliers and with our employees.
So Stan, please tell me, because managing a large enterprise is a big responsibility, social, economic and ecological. So what are the most important activities you have undertaken to support sustainable development?
Again, a great question, which is very vast. Do I have 3 or 4 days to answer that?
No, only a
2
few
minutes.
minutes, yeah, like 2 minutes is okay.
All right. I think companies are based on have to be based on a set of values, and a set of values. They can be ethical, they can be social, they can be environmental, and they are the ones that will drive your actions and that will guide your actions, whether you operate in France, in China, in Poland, or in Brazil.
Yeah.
And what we do is we make sure that we have a very strong social fundamentals. Our employees in the world benefit from a set of health protection, pensions, etc. that can be different from
So
one
you
country.
really take care about your employees?
Of course. Every one of them will have something that is of course related to the status in their own country, but with some minimal support provided and given by the group, our employees, but also our suppliers. Our suppliers sign charts on child employment or working hours or social and safety standards.
Yeah.
So that's one side. On the environmental side, we of course respect the law in every country we operate in, but not only. We have our own standards on the use of such and such materials, chemicals. We have our own standards in terms of safety at work. We track safety at work in all our factories the same way, be they in China, in Czech Republic, in Germany, or in France.
Okay.
So we tend to have a lot of standards that are most of the time, or that are always above the local standards, and that are more and more converging between all the countries. The limit of that, of course, is your competitiveness. That is, you have to make sure that when you produce in Brazil, you are competitive versus your Brazilian competitors in everything you do.
Yeah.
So often we take some extra costs for environmental reasons or social reasons or safety reasons, but we justify those costs through a better brand, stronger brands, innovations, etc., etc.
So you do invest a lot for innovation.
Well, yes, well, put it this way: a third of our products are renewed every year,
Okay.
which means the life cycle of products is going to be between 3 and 4 years.
Yeah.
And that means we have hundreds of people, probably close to 500 people in the world, that are focusing on renovating products, innovating in new products, but not only products, components, motors, for energy, reducing the energy consumption, or getting smaller equipment that is lighter equipment. So we have a lot of investments in innovation, both in terms of what is visible for consumers, but also what is less visible for consumers.
Okay.
Parts and components, for instance.
As you know, sometimes we see that companies on the one hand advertise as ethical and pro-environmental, and on the other hand they take advantages of the loose regulation of developing countries. So, in your opinion, how to prevent this from happening? Do you see a solution of this problem on the part of governments or maybe the part of companies?
That's another excellent question. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, starting with the start, companies have to be competitive in their local market environment.
Yeah.
So I said earlier that you need to have standards, both ethical, social, environmental standards. That's a prerequisite if you want to be a sustainable business. So that's one thing.
Okay.
Yet you need to be competitive. That means you will adapt and adopt local regulations, and the combination of local regulations and your own standards. Environment is a very good example that you will lose competitiveness if you respect higher standards, because usually environment is a beneficial investment in the long term, but a costly investment in the short term. At the end of the day, it's better to do it because consumers will recognize your brand, your international brand. So you will not be fighting your competitiveness through cost. You will be fighting your competitiveness through better pricing, better innovation, better advantages to consumers. And a lot of multinational companies actually try and find the right balance between cost competitiveness, price competitiveness, innovation, and ability to respect and work by environmental and ethical standards.
Because you are a global enterprise, so I want to know if your idea is that each company should do it by themselves or it should be on government side.
Well, I think global companies have a responsibility to set and increase higher standards.
Okay.
I'm not expecting the government in such or such developing country to damage its own competitiveness. First, because they have a lot of local companies, small entrepreneurs that simply cannot afford Western standards. But we also see in countries that are fast developing, like China or Korea or Japan 20, 30 years ago, that when development comes, the standards come, and the ethical, environmental, and social standards get increased. So global companies have a contribution and a responsibility to raise standards, sometimes at the cost of their immediate short-term competitiveness in that local country, but globally it is profitable for them because that means those emerging markets are developing faster, and therefore they become bigger markets with better purchasing power, and therefore they can do better business. So eventually it's difficult to give an answer, a very radical answer, government should do this or companies should do that. It is beneficial for multinational global companies to contribute to the elevation of standards, environmental, ethical or social standards.
In each country.
Everywhere where we operate. And we have plants in China, in Russia, in Czech Republic, in Vietnam, in Brazil, and our standards in our factories are much higher than the local regulation.
Okay, and why not Poland?
Because we've had a lot of those factories inherited through acquisitions, and we've never acquired a company in Poland.
Okay.
That's as simple as that.
Maybe next time.
Well, you know, Poland is a very competitive market. It's a very competitive country. It plays a very important role in Central Europe. It so happens that we don't have any acquisition in there, and therefore we have no factories.
Okay. So maybe I will ask you something that concerning young generation. What advice do you can give for young people like me, the students who will enter in the demanding market?
Well, I think first the work market has always been demanding.
That's right.
And when I was young, we went through two oil shocks, and I saw unemployment in France raise from 1 million to 3 million in my teen years. So I mean, yes, the work market is demanding, but has always been demanding. I will give you two pieces of advice, in fact.
Okay.
The first one is make sure wherever you go, whatever you do, you keep learning, because I think learning is what keeps you alive, and what
it prevents from burnout.
I mean, people wake up in the morning. If they learn something in the day, they will have a great day. If they don't learn anything in the day, they will get bored, and they will be it will be a lost or a sad day. And the second thing is have fun, because you need to perform at work, And the only way you can be performing is if you have fun and if you enjoy what you're doing. And I know very few people that can be good at something they're not passionate about.
Yeah.
So keep learning, make sure you learn and have fun. That's
But don't
very
you
simple.
think that it is hard to find a job nowadays that will passionate you, that you will be really enjoying to do it?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's.
Do you enjoy your job?
I love it.
Okay.
I love it. And the day when I stop loving it, I'll go and do something else. Not because I want to do something else, or it's not a caprice, but because if you are not passionate about something, if you don't have a lot of energy behind it, then you will be less good at it.
Yeah.
And as a leader of a company, I need to be passionate about my job and about my business. Otherwise, people will see it, and they won't be following me as well as they are doing today.
Okay. So Stan, thank you very much for this interview. It is really a great pleasure to talk with you.
My pleasure, and I wish you good luck in your presentation and in your end of your studies, because I understand you're almost there in terms of finishing your studies, right?
Yes, that's right.
Well,
So
enjoy and good luck.
thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for listening, and as you can see, we are the group of students, so amateur students, and don't judge the book by the cover, but by what was inside of our video. And we have a message to pass for every people in all around the world, that yes, we only live once, but our kids will live on the same planet. So let's protect them and let's take care about our planet for the best future of all of us. Oh, and see you soon for next interview.